Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 549. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Guys, thanks for holding down the podcast last week while I was gone.
Oh, were you gone last week?
You didn't notice, did you?
No, sorry. I forgot.
James, I really appreciate all the hard work you did last week.
No problem. Anytime, Kyle.
Mhm.
You don't remember Kyle? He went on a
No.
little bike ride and he exhausted himself.
He visited a barn and got too tired to record the podcast. Now I
didn't
remember.
just go visit a barn.
Are you denying you visited a barn
I did visit a barn.
and ate? Didn't you go to a barn and eat food and then?
and ride a bike.
I-
And then you were too tired to do the podcast.
So you had a picnic.
I biked to 4 barns over the course of Sunday, a total of 40 miles. And yes, at those barns, there was food to be eaten. But still, it was a 40-mile day. That's pretty, that's a long day on a bike.
For some
Yeah.
reason, when I think of Kyle going on a bike ride, I think of the old timey guys with the top hats and the bike with the big old wheel in the
The
front
huge
and the
wheel
little
in the
tiny
front,
wheel
yeah.
in the back. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
think of when I hear
Absolutely.
Kyle
that
went
f-
on a bike ride.
That front wheel and that large front wheel really helps with your efficiency going up hills, because you're just
Sure.
doing little pedals and then that big wheel is just slowly turning. So it's
Right.
it's very slow up the hill, but it's quite relaxing.
Yeah. What are those called? I know there's a name for them, but I don't remember what it is.
Bicycles.
I'm sure it's a bicycle, but it's a specific type of bicycle.
I
Other
believe
than
they were called
old-timey.
the old timey bicycle, but even back then, so they just
Sure.
dubbed it.
Yep,
A
absolutely.
high wheel bicycle, also known as a penny farthing.
Penny
a
farthing.
penny farthing. Yeah, it's essentially like the first big wheel, just
I-
100 years before its time.
Not to go too deep on the iceberg that is the penny farthing bicycle, but why penny farthing? I have no idea what that means.
Was that the cost of it?
Seems like a strange name, or maybe that's the name of the person that invented it or something.
Like the penny farthing company?
It
Mhm.
obtained its name from the penny and farthing coins of the time. It was made
Oh.
entirely of metal instead of wood, and the tires were rubber.
Oh, is it maybe because one of those coins is large, one's small?
Yes.
Comparatively, so that's why it's the penny
Yeah.
farthing.
It looked like a penny and a farthing next to each other.
Gotcha. Absolutely, that makes sense. I feel like there was a time that you saw those bikes in a lot of movies, but it's been a long time since I've seen a penny farthing bicycle in a movie.
Yeah, it's
They-
gone the way of quicksand.
They they look impractical to ride. I
Sure.
just feel like your center of gravity is in a weird spot on that bicycle.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube, I'm forgetting his name, but he does things he learns things as fast as possible. He's
I know that guy.
he's like a Scottish guy or something. Maybe not Scottish. Maybe I don't remember what nationality he is. But anyway, he did a video where he tried to learn how to ride one of those bikes, and it did not look easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
I think the purpose of the huge wheel in front is because they hadn't invented, changeable gears yet. And so having the big wheel meant you didn't have to pedal super fast to go like an ordinary speed.
Yeah, that's why I did it for Bike the Barns. It's efficient.
Yeah.
So is Bike the Barn actually a race, or just a thing you want to you try to complete type of
It's a
thing?
fundraiser.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you raise funds and then you do the thing.
Yeah, do the thing. Yeah, and it's a fundraiser for Fair Share CSA, which is a organization that tries to bring farm food to low-income families.
Nice.
How much
And
money
do-
did you raise?
I paid the entry fee.
So do they typically pay people when you fundraise beyond the entry fee? Do they typically pay people by how far you go, or just it's not like a walkathon, right? Where it's how many
No.
laps you do or something like that.
No, you can pay the entry fee, which includes obviously the entry fee is higher than the cost of the event because that's part of the fundraiser.
Mhm.
Or you can fundraise on top of that.
What was the entrance fee?
It ooh, 100. It was over $100. Plus, I got the T-shirt, and the T-shirt was expensive too. I mean, expensive for a T-shirt. But
Okay.
again, I felt good buying all these things because it was for a good cause. So
Sure.
Nice.
yeah. It wasn't like I paid $30 to do this thing. So
I mean, $30 is more than nothing. I bet they
Yeah,
got
but-
most of the stuff donated along the way anyway. So
I'm sure the farms are partnering with the organization, and they have
Mhm.
sponsors and all that. So
sure. I have no idea as far as like the geography where you're at. Is it
Okay.
like flat or like mountainous?
it's not mountainous. It's hilly.
Hilly.
Yeah, I would say rolling hills of farm fields is what I was biking through. So it was very pretty.
Nice.
Went around a lake. That was nice. Did a little boardwalk across the lake.
Sure. I will say that there's not a chance I could bike 40 miles tomorrow if you asked me to. There's no way.
I am not a avid cyclist. Like I know how to ride a bike, and I think I'm in fairly decent shape. But I was a little nervous knowing that I was going to bike 40 miles in one day.
Mhm.
And I would say 35 of those 40 miles I felt pretty good, and those last 5 I was ready to be done. But
Sure.
that was fairly flat by that point, thankfully.
Nice.
That's
What's the
awesome.
farthest you've ever biked, Zach?
The farthest I've ever biked, I don't know, maybe 5 miles.
Right.
Oh,
I have
that's probably how
clue.
far I've gone
Yeah,
to.
no idea. I probably biked further in a gym than like on an actual bike.
Oh, like stationary.
Yeah.
Stationary
Yeah.
bike. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what this podcast is all about. This is the biking podcast.
Mhm.
Welcome to it.
This is
we
the
also
the farm edition.
farm edition, right? Not the pharma edition. That's
No.
next week. We also occasionally talk about movies. We're going to do that this week. Right after we let you know, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Cinereelists, find us there, and watch while you listen. You could also follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. Check us out there. If you decide to support us, you can get cool Cinereelist swag like t-shirts and mugs. You could also just flat out support us and get free after show content, which we do most weeks, I would say. We still owe for last week. We recorded one and then I didn't put it out because
Oh, really?
I got busy. And there's like a new component to it where we like screen captured our Zoom call and like all this other stuff. Zach and I did it together. And so it's an interesting one, but it takes a little more production than typically. So
Wait, I thought someone mentioned on the Discord that they listened to it.
No, that was like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
That was like the week before that one. Yeah, that was not a good review we got on the Discord for that episode. But
I thought it was about the one that we recorded, which I was like, that makes sense.
No, that was about the Jaws or whatever game we played, pancake or waffle.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes if you're not a Patreon supporter, you wouldn't know this, but the after show turns into a little bit of like a sandbox for us where we just try things out that we think may or may not work on a podcast. And as a result, sometimes it may or may not work.
Well, wait till he hears the next Patreon.
Yep.
I can't wait to hear the Patreon and then write into the show with my feelings on it.
Yes, that'll be great. You could also leave us an Apple Podcast review. We would appreciate that. 5 stars only. Or you could send us an email anytime. Just open up your email application, type heyguys@cinereelist.com, REEL with an S on the end in the to section. And then in your subject, type hey guys or something like that. And then in the message, that's where you type what you want to say to us. And then you click send. That's how emails work. Do it. A couple of other people have done that recently. By that, I mean listeners have sent us emails, and we're going to discuss them right now. Starting with an email from good old Troy Carruthers, our most loyal emailer. Troy writes, Zach, I can't remember if you've watched all 94 or 95 if you count Sunrise, which I do, of the Oscar Best Picture winners. I just finished them and ranked them all on my blog. Here it is. And then he gives a link to his blog at thisweeksmovie.wordpress.com. We'll put the link in the description of this episode if you'd like to check out Troy's list. Zach, before I move on in this email, have you watched all the Best Pictures?
I have not. I have about 10 left.
10 left. Okay.
Yeah.
Of those 10, is there one you're looking forward to the least?
About 10 of them.
Okay. So that's why there's 10.
Yeah.
And that's just because those are the ones you've heard that aren't that great despite being Best Pictures, or they're the long ones, or what's the
They're
holdup?
like from the 30s where just like they're just not that great. You know?
Sure. They're
like-
not as prestigious as
Yeah.
some of the other ones. Or
Yeah, or they're just like big production, you know, like song and dance kind of musicals, and just I'm not interested. Tom Jones and things like that.
All right. Fair enough. Troy continues. I also forgot about how many movies I'd been watching and hadn't sent a last 10 top 10 in a while. So here are the last 10 movies I've watched ranked against one another. He actually sent 20, but we're just going to read the top 10. We've got Trees of Peace from 2021. Never heard of this.
Nope.
I've never heard of this movie. And it's from 2021. I'm not saying I've heard of every movie from 2021, but this one he gave 3.5 stars, and I've never heard of it. His number 9, 2022's Girl in the Picture. He gave this 4 stars. Another one from 2022 is number 8, Pinocchio. 4 stars.
The Tom Hanks one?
I'm
I
assuming.
assume? Okay.
I don't.
Yes. From
The other one,
2022.
The Guillermo del Toro one's not out yet, correct?
yeah, and I think that one's technically titled Guillermo del Toro Presents
Oh.
Pinocchio to like distinguish it from the other Pinocchio.
I gotcha. Okay.
But that might not be true. My Troy's number 7, Where the Crawdads Sing, also from 2022. His number 6, Summer of Soul, the documentary that Kyle and I really enjoy. I don't remember. Zach, you haven't caught that one yet, have you?
No, I've seen the first half.
seen
and
half of
It's
it.
great.
All right.
It only gets better.
So good. He had to stop halfway just to get
Is the second half better than the first half?
Yeah, I think
I
the second
actually
half
do
kind of-
think the second half is
Yeah,
better.
I
Yeah.
do.
I'm excited
It brings
then.
it all together. The first
In
half
fact-
gives you awesome music, and the second half kind of wraps a nice little package out of it.
I suggest you start over from the beginning, because there's like some emotions that are wrapped up with the experience of the whole thing that might be lost by starting it halfway months after you saw the first
Oh,
half.
I remember everything. It's
All
all,
right.
Everything.
it's on hold.
All right. His number 5, Nope.
Nope.
His number 4, Magnolia. I wonder if that was a first time watch for Troy. That's an old movie at this point.
Magnolia?
He's clearly doing
Yeah.
like some sort of Anderson watch.
Clearly?
Yeah.
Oh, you say
yeah,
clearly.
he's got a couple more Anderson on his.
He's got Punch
Oh,
Drunk
yeah.
Love,
Up and on top.
Magnolia. Yeah.
Sure. His number 3, Bullet Train, with a 5.5 for Bullet Train.
That's a 4.5, James.
4.5. Sorry.
Have you seen that yet?
I have not seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet.
I gotta check it out.
I'm looking forward to seeing it at home.
Yeah, I
when
can't
it
wait to
comes
stream
there.
that.
Yep. His number 2, Elvis, another 4.5, and his only 5-star movie from 1996. Oh, another PTA movie, Hard 8.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney.
I mean, Hard 8's fine, but above Magnolia,
That might be my
yikes.
least favorite PTA movie.
Yeah, I don't know about least favorite, but it's not upper tier PTA for me.
No.
How about you, Zach?
It's good.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
5 stars, good.
If I
Better than
rank my
Magnolia,
PTA.
good.
Out of how many?
Out of 5
out of
stars.
5.5.
Oh, I'm not mad at anyone for giving Hard 8 5 stars. I wouldn't give it 5 stars.
What would you give it? 3.
Give it no. 3.5 or 4.
No, not 3.
All right.
Not
Sorry,
How dare you?
I was way off. We thank you for the email, Troy. We received another one. This one's from Eveline, and Zach's going to give it a little read here for us.
I'll give it a little read. Good day, mates. Hope you're all-
A little bit more Australian in your reading, please.
Is it? Wait. Okay, I did feel silly saying that in an American accent, but
Okay.
Mhm.
is it not silly to just automatically try to do it in a bad Australian accent?
You just assume it's a bad accent you're going to do.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a good accent.
But like, why? What is it about the greeting that you're like, you have to do it in an Australian accent? It just
Because
seems-
nobody says that other than Australians.
Right. I don't go to my friends, good day, mates.
No.
It just comes out.
No, absolutely, and I do feel silly saying "good day, mates." But
You're also
it
the
seems-
only
it's
You're
just
the only
odd.
person who's actually been to Australia, so I feel you're the expert of the podcast.
You
Yeah.
never went to Australia. You just went to New Zealand.
Yeah, just New Zealand. My bad.
Oh man.
And-
No. I just figured you'd at least stop over in Australia or something.
Oh no, we flew direct from Chicago to New Zealand,
Gotcha.
and then we hopped over to Fiji. That was
Why go-
our trip.
Why go to Australia? It's not. They didn't film Lord of the Rings there or anything.
Yeah, there's no movies were made down in Australia.
I've now been to Australia a couple times, and I will say it is awesome there, and I could easily live there.
How many Hobbitins are in Australia?
I imagine none. I
Okay,
imagine none.
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I'll ever make it to Australia.
Why
That
not?
makes me sad. I don't really have a reason to go other than
Why do
like
you-
just to go.
Why do you need a reason to
Yeah,
go?
that's the reason to go. Is
Say I want to
because
see the
it's
Sydney
there.
Opera House.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's fine, but that's a long way to go to look at an opera house that I don't ultimately care about.
Sure.
I'm sure there's other things you would find fascinating about Australia besides the Opera House.
I would like to go. I just need, like, I feel like a bigger draw towards like Japan or India for some reason. Like, I feel like those would be very different environments,
too.
whereas Australia would be like USA extension with accents.
Sure.
Yeah. Australia and USA indiscernible from each other minus the
Actually,
accent.
I will say that Australia and parts of the USA feel similar vibes.
Yeah, it's like going to the UK. A perfectly fine place, but it's like just like weird United States, basically.
James, I will say that you could do all of those things. You could go to India, Japan, and Australia.
That would be great. It's just I'm like 44. I'm running out of time. So
You do have one foot in the grave, that's for sure.
for
you wa-
sure.
Do you want to hear one of the craziest coincidences of my life that happened in Australia?
I
Not
do.
particularly, no.
Okay. I'll tell James.
Okay.
Kyle,
take
feel
these
free
headphones
to
out.
feel free to take the headphones out. I was with my sister-in-law in Sydney, Australia. She wanted
Uh-huh.
to stop at a Starbucks. And so we went into a Starbucks, and there I saw someone that I had met in Nepal a month earlier.
And did you know that they would eventually be in Australia?
No clue.
No clue.
Yeah.
That is
So just randomly saw someone in a Starbucks in Sydney that I had just met in Nepal a month earlier.
Did you talk to them?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
It was very exciting.
So you confirmed it was that person. You weren't just like, oh, I think that's that guy from Nepal.
No, it was definitely that
Okay.
person. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So that was a
That's
fun
crazy.
coincidence. Where did this come from? Where did
you're
we go?
you're
Okay.
reading an email.
All right. Good day, mates.
No,
Yes.
Nope, that's bad. Don't do it.
I told you it would be bad.
I think we've offended Eveline and Josh now.
Hope you're all doing well. I've just watched 2 new movies. One is called Dinner in America. I really love the pace and attitude of this movie. I bought it for $5 online. Have you guys seen Dinner in America?
Never heard of it.
I don't think I've seen it. It doesn't from 2020, nope. Never seen it.
Yeah,
I know-
I have never heard of it. It's a coming of age dark comedy.
Here's this plot synopsis. An on-the-lam punk rocker and a young woman obsessed with his band go on an unexpected and epic journey together through the decaying suburbs of the American Midwest.
That's awesome.
It's got a 3.7 on Letterboxd, which is
All right.
not low.
Is this a US film or an Australian film?
US.
Okay.
I mean,
Alright.
it's set in the US.
But was it filmed in the U.S. or is it filmed in Australia?
Are-
As a
US
doubt it.
adjacent.
Are the Midwest suburbs decaying?
I don't think. No.
Kyle, you live in a Midwest suburb.
I do live in a Midwest suburb. It is a hellhole.
I keep seeing houses online in Detroit for like $4,000.
Well, yeah, Detroit's decaying. That's a fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're basically buying the lot at that point.
Yeah.
Like the house probably hasn't been lived in
Mhm.
5 to 10 years, and so it's probably not worth anything at this point. So
Now you're going to laugh, but I finally watched The Godfather. I've seen bits and pieces throughout my life, but I was like, nope, I'm going to be human and watch this. I really, really loved it.
Like all normal humans watching The Godfather.
Yeah. I don't think it's funny that you hadn't seen it, but I am very excited for you that you did see it and that you liked it.
I don't think it's funny either. I take that very seriously. She had never seen it.
You're offended.
I was, but now that I know she's seen it, I'm no longer offended. So
Yeah.
I'm even more excited that she has Godfather 2 to look forward to now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
do you like?
And
like
Godfather
better?
3.
I mean, that's got the helicopter in it, so
I've never seen Godfather 3.
it's
What?
worth watching. It's not the same level as 1 or 2.
I plan to. It doesn't have some like Vatican elements to it.
That's a strong part of it is the Vatican, yes.
I think that'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting to watch it now and wonder why people were so mad. Because it's not as good as the first two, but not worth getting mad over, basically.
You think
I
it's
think
like
that's why they're mad. It's not as good as the first two.
Right, but it's not bad. It's not like offensively awful or anything. It's just not a classic and happens to have like the director's daughter in it. And so
Is
people are
she
like,
bad in it?
No.
I
she's
think
fine.
she's kind of flat in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Godfather movies are known for big performances.
They are.
They're not. What's a big performance in a Godfather movie?
I think a lot of the
Like James Caan?
James. Yeah, I don't think the main characters are big performers, but I think a lot of the secondary and ancillary characters are much bigger personalities on the screen.
I don't know. I don't buy it.
Well,
I don't think Sofia Coppola was the reason why Godfather 3 didn't work.
she doesn't ruin the movie, but I do think she's a little understated in that movie.
Right. And had they cast some professional actress, it would have been a gem, I'm sure. So I'm saying, like, her performance isn't the problem. It's the movie that's the problem.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
But yet they blamed her for it.
Well, she goes on to say she's been having a hard time health-wise lately, but she wants to thank us again for being awesome because her husband Josh loves the show. I think it's funny that she didn't mention that she also loves the show. So just her husband.
Maybe she doesn't.
Yeah, she hates the show. But
She tolerates it because Josh likes it.
Josh loves it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you
She
think we
says-
have any hate? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, she says, well, stay cool. And I'll email you when I finish watching all the Godfathers and tell you what I think.
Oh, nice.
I should try to watch 3 so that when she watches 3, it'll be relevant to both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and her should have like a movie club where we just talk about Godfather 3.
You should start a podcast where every week you talk about 1 minute of Godfather 3.
That'd be odd. Yeah, me and Evelyn.
Yes.
I'm totally down for that.
What if you call it the Godfather Minute and you spend a minute talking about that minute? So it's only a minute-long podcast.
Oh, it's only a minute?
Yeah.
It's a minute-long podcast.
No, it's got to be an hour long where we talk about that minute.
Like a deep dive.
Yeah.
You're right. This has been done before. I don't know if you guys know, but
No, I'm sure. Not for Godfather 3, though.
no, there was a podcast called the Star Wars Minute where they went through all the Star Wars original trilogy.
Yeah.
1 minute at a time.
That's
per
because Star
episode.
Wars fans are insane.
Were they minute-long podcasts, though?
No. They were
Ah.
they were anywhere from 5 minutes to like an hour because half the time they didn't talk about the minute.
Mm-hmm.
The minute was just like a structure to get people listening, basically.
I think, keep it to a minute.
Yep.
But then
Godfather
you would
minute.
just literally just be you'd be doing like a descriptive audio.
So Sofia Coppola, she's here talking to Andy Garcia. It's kind of flat.
Yeah. You can only
They're
do it in
the
real time.
Vatican. All right, thanks for listening.
Yeah, plus intro and outro,
Right, yeah.
20 seconds of music. I mean,
Email the show or on YouTube.
it's just good or bad. Your minutes.
All right, we got another email here. Thanks, Evelyn, for the email. We got another one here. This one's from Justin. Justin writes, "Hey guys, it's been a little while since I've written in.
And it's been a while.
I have a movie recommendation that I think James in particular might find interesting. I don't think Zach would like it, and Kyle could be a 50-50. It's a 2022 film called Resurrection. Right now it's available on VOD to rent or buy, not streaming anywhere else yet. A slow, psychological horror/thriller starring Rebecca Hall. It kept me intrigued through the very last frame. I would love to hear what any of you think about it if you get the chance to check it out. Thanks for making the podcast, by the way. Love always, 1989, Justin." Thanks, Justin. We got this email a little while back, and I have since watched Resurrection, and it'll be discussed on the next Top 10 Last 10.
Oh, what a tease.
But to answer the question about whether Zach would like it, I think he would like it.
Oh,
I
okay.
do think he would like it.
Well, I like Rebecca Hall.
This is why I think you would like it, because you liked that one movie with the like cultists that like are talking to each other, and I forget the name of the actress that's in that movie, but they wore all white and they like sat Indian style, and it was all about a cult and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This
Same
is
actress
not
from
that movie, but as far as like the underlying tone and stuff like that, I think they're similar, and there's like other similarities, but also it's a very different movie, and it stars Rebecca Hall. So because of all those reasons, I think you might like Resurrection, and I also think Kyle would like it as well.
It's on my watch list. I'm
I
intrigued.
don't think it's a 50-50. It's more like a 70-30 for Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I would say. I think Justin sent us another email too.
Yeah, he sent us another one a couple days ago, and it was the title of this is Cinereelists Abroad, and Justin writes, "Kyle told me to go to Iceland, so here I am." And then he actually sent us a picture of him or I should say his phone in front of a waterfall. I believe this is Skogafoss waterfall, which is redundant because Foss means waterfall. And he has Cinereelists pulled up, and on it there's some text that says movie suggestions, list suggestions, travel suggestions.
That's awesome.
Now, to give a little background on this, when I was in Iceland, I was posting pictures on Instagram, and Justin follows me on Instagram, and he was messaging me about his trip to Iceland which he just took. But that was coming up, and it's asking what he should see, what he should avoid. So we were kind of going back and forth about Iceland tips. So I was able to see some of his photos, and he saw some pretty incredible things while in Iceland. Some things that I saw, some things I didn't get a chance to see.
Wait, where do I see his photos?
On his Instagram.
Okay.
What should you avoid in Iceland? I thought everything was great in Iceland.
I was a little underwhelmed by the Golden Circle.
I don't know what that is.
It's a very touristy part of Iceland. It's a couple hours.
It's
outside
right by
of
the
Reykjavik.
airport. Yeah.
A lot of tour buses, and it felt like the most touristy area of all of Iceland.
It sounds like a young adult novel, to be honest.
The Golden Circle.
Yeah.
It sounds like that Kingsman movie, the sequel.
Oh, right. Was that actually called The Golden Circle?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. That was the one not good one, I would say. Awesome. Well, I think that's a Cinereelist first, right? We've never given anybody travel advice, Zach, I don't think, over the course of this podcast. Have we?
I don't know, man.
Not confirmed anyway.
Unconfirmed travel
If you have given them travel advice, they've never written back.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's been people who have visited Orlando and probably asked us what they should do.
Oh, that's happened for sure.
So I don't know what that counts as.
Right.
Well, I will post Justin's picture up on our Instagram, and he also promised a follow-up Iceland movie list at some point in the future. So looking forward to that.
Great.
Nice. I believe Andy also wrote us an email, Kyle.
He did. This one is titled, Hey Guys, The Gray Man Books. And Andy writes, read like a great movie instead of what was made. I'm in the I fell asleep group. I believe Andy is saying that he has read the books and liked them, but did not like the movie.
Yeah.
The
He goes
movie
on
The
to
Gray Man, available on Netflix, which we talked about a few weeks ago.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
He goes on along to say, read, listened to every book, some better than others. None would be considered groundbreaking, but entertaining. For the movie, lots of needless changes to the movie, things I can't understand why they would change, but did. It put me off the film almost immediately and couldn't get me back. That is all. So that's some hot takes from Andy on the Gray Man movie. And I can imagine if you've read the books and if they read like a thriller and they read a certain way and you're thinking, oh, this is going to look great on the screen. And then you see what they put on screen and it's not met to your expectations. I could see you be a little underwhelmed and maybe falling asleep.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't read any of the books, and I thought it was generally visually boring too. So, other than the fireworks fight scene, that's like the only memorable part of the movie to me. The rest of it, I've already forgotten. It's only been a month.
Wasn't there a cool night vision scene on the airplane
Don't remember.
or in smoke or something like that?
I don't
remember
even
the
remember an
being
airplane.
Pretty good. Oh yeah, they have a whole fight on a possibly crashing airplane.
Less airplanes, more penny farthing bikes. Please.
You know, that's probably gonna be in John Wick 4. Is he's gonna escape on a penny farthing and being chased by a bunch of other penny farthers, and there'll be various karate and martial arts antics happening on these absurdly large bikes.
You joke.
Karate?
You joke, but I would love that. That would be amazing.
They already have horses, so they could be there.
Yep. All right. Our final email for this week is from Marco Albini. Marco writes, Hey guys, thanks, James, for that awesome after show about your closing phrase, keep it cinereal. Keep it cinereal as a mantra and a lifestyle! Exclamation point. How about an even cheesier phrase to finish? I suggest keep on cine listening. Take care, Marco.
Keep on cine listening. That has legs.
You like that one?
I do like that one.
All right. Well, I'll take it under advisement. No
Although
promises.
I think it should be more something like, I hope you continue to Cinereal listen.
Ooh.
That's too wordy. Doesn't roll off the tongue. Like keep it cinereal or keep on cine listening.
That's true.
Makes about as much sense as what we normally say. So. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, this is the type of stuff you miss in the after shows is long discussions about the last 3 words said on the podcast.
Yeah.
And
no
half-baked
reason
game ideas.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you everybody for sending us an email. We appreciate it. We always enjoy discussing your emails. If you'd like to email into the show, once again, heyguys@cinereelists.com. And if you need to know how to send an email, just rewind to the beginning of the podcast. I went through it top to bottom. Let's talk movies, specifically one movie, our movie of the week, which we saw in a movie theater, which is the only way to watch it currently, unless you're listening to this later. This movie's in theaters now. It's called The Woman King. We're going to get into it right after this clip.
You like the guns? You enjoy practicing with the men in the infantry? I see you flirting.
This is not allowed?
You know it is not.
Why not? The men who are soldiers have wives and children, but the Agojie cannot. How is that fair?
Were you this arrogant with your family? No wonder they gave you away.
It is you who is arrogant.
I am a general. I have earned it. You have earned nothing. I should put you out. I have watched soldiers die because they did not have discipline. Their easy life did not prepare them for
I did not
this
have an easy life.
As an Agojie.
That was The Woman King, a 2022 American historical epic directed by Gina Prince Bythewood, starring Viola Davis, Thuso Mabdu, Lashana Lynch, Sheila Atim, and John Boyega, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for The Woman King is a historical epic inspired by true events that took place in the kingdom of Dahomey, one of the most powerful states of Africa in the 18th and 19th centuries. Sure. That's literally zero of the plot, but all of where the movie takes place, I would say. Time and place. What do we want to say about The Woman King that sets it up a little better than that?
I think this plot leaves out that the focus is on Viola Davis and her group of female warriors
Mhm.
that are in charge of, I think they're kind of the King's Guard. They protect the kingdom. They go on raids and missions in the interest of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
the only all-female army in Africa at that time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're held. They live inside the temple where no men are allowed. The villagers are not allowed to look upon them when they're marching outside of the temple or the castle. So they're very well regarded within this society, and they are recruiting new members throughout this movie.
Mhm. And this is in a time and place where women in this environment, and most environments, I would say, in the 18th and 19th centuries, weren't seen as like equals to men.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
For sure. And then as a cultural context, this is taking place in the context of the slave trade. So they live on the coast and the slave trade is actively happening
Yes.
in that part of Africa.
Yeah, so this is a movie that I saw in a movie theater a couple weeks ago. I came back with my vague report of I liked it, I enjoyed it, it was a good movie. And then the other two guys, that being Kyle and Zach, were like, oh, well, let's do an episode on it. So here we are doing an episode on it. I think the other context is Kyle was hyped about this movie and Zach literally had no context for it whatsoever.
I hadn't heard of it at all.
So
You hadn't even heard of it?
No.
Wow.
I'm curious to know what you guys thought of it. Who wants to go first?
I want to hear what Zach has to say since he had no knowledge of this movie going into it.
Okay.
Yeah, all I knew is it had Viola Davis and James spoiled that it had John Boyega.
Oh, that's a spoiler.
Well, if you
It's
know
all over
nothing,
the posters.
if you know nothing, then any information is a spoiler.
I guess
True.
so. That's true.
And that
Did it ruin your enjoyment of the movie? Like, oh man, John Boyega's in this one. If only I'd known.
he's not an actor that I particularly get excited about.
But he's not an actor you shy away from either.
No, I'm not going to avoid him. You know, if I
Right.
saw him on the street, I wouldn't like cross the street. But
Yeah, that would be a bad idea for multiple reasons.
no, but we'll talk about John Boyega in this film in a second.
Please.
But yeah, this movie was awesome. It was great. I loved my time in the theater watching this film. It was kind of like I don't know what I would describe it as besides maybe like a super violent Mulan. Complete with like, you know, training montages and fighting battles and stuff like that. And, you know, but this movie's great for like many reasons, which I hope we'll talk about. But yeah, I really liked it. Kyle, what'd you think?
I did like this movie. I don't know if I liked it as much as you did. And James, you spoke really highly of it. I think it's worth pointing out that this is a movie where we have a fully realized African kingdom society, which, or, you know, especially pre-colonial, which I don't think we see a lot in movies, where you get to see like, this is where they live, this is how they live, this is how the society works. And that was really cool to see on screen, you know, to see like, it's not just here's some people gathered with spears, but like here's a fully realized city with economy and everything. And I would love to see more of that when we're looking at films that take place in Africa. Um, I really liked the cast in this movie. I thought Viola Davis was great. Lashana Lynch, who plays kind of her second in command, her right-hand person, she was awesome. Like both her character and her performance anytime she was on screen.
I thought Sheila Tim played her second in command.
Well, okay, so Lashana Lynch was playing the woman with
She was like the sergeant.
I guess so, sure. Okay. Either way, I like Lashana Lynch's character. She is the one who had the claws, right? Her nails sharpened the claws.
Mhm.
Yep. Sheila Team was good though too, as possibly her second hand person, her right hand man. And I liked the girl, Thusa Mbudu. I thought she was pretty great. John Boyega did not work for me in this movie. I felt like he was playing an SNL skit character for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was about it, but just he felt too much like I was watching John Boyega, where everyone else, I was watching their character.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he just kind of stuck out for me, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I didn't know he was in this movie, and I figured out, oh, that's John Boyega, and then that's all I saw at that point. So, there were also some subplots that did not work for me. There is a romantic subplot with the woman in training and I guess a slaver. And
He wasn't a slaver. He was
He was associated.
He was associated with the slavers. Yes,
slaver adjacent.
And that didn't really do anything or go anywhere. And there is another subplot that's spoilery about a couple characters and their connection, and that seemed unnecessary to this movie. It didn't add anything for me. I think they could have had similar emotions and arcs without having to have that actual element. So I don't know if we're doing spoilers section.
Are you talking about things that Viola Davis goes through?
Yes, things that she went through and then the results of those things.
Sure.
Yeah.
That didn't work for you.
I mean, I disagree.
Okay.
I heavily disagree.
You heavily disagree.
Yeah.
All right.
I disagree for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with some of the things Kyle said. For
We
sure.
can do a spoiler section if you guys want.
We may have to do a small one. Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
I love the cast of this movie. Like John Boyega is the only one that like I couldn't completely forget who he was, but that's just because he's like Viola Davis is pretty famous. But for some reason, I could very easily forget I was watching Viola Davis on screen. But with John Boyega, I'll admit he sticks out. He's also like the only dude in the movie for a good portion of it, and so he sticks out in that way as well. And he is a small person in the movie, not in size, just in the way he's acting, right? Like he's the king. Everybody's bowing to him and doing what he wants, but it's pretty obvious that other people around him are stronger people that have better ideas, and he's either choosing not to listen to them, or you know what I mean? Like he's just not playing an impressive person comparatively to the Viola Davis character or some of these other characters, which are just outshining him from a character perspective, not necessarily an acting perspective, just he's not written as the hero. He's written as another speed bump for the heroes to get around, basically. As far as like whether the complications of some of the characters were necessary, I think they were. I think the Viola Davis complications explained a lot about why she is so good at what she does and why this means more to her than protecting goofy John Boyega. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she has a reason to be as awesome as she is and as ruthless and good at what she does, beyond just serving a man type of thing. And I thought it gave great motivation for her character to just be really awesome on screen, I would say, as a warrior.
All that's true. Plus, it gives her character arc and growth, right?
Yeah, short of protecting the king, or the people of the land, what is there for her to be fighting for? I think they gave more of that. Now, maybe there was a different version of this that gives her a different motivation, but I do think more motivation was needed. This is the motivation they gave us, and I thought it worked for me. The love interest, I'm not going to fight as hard for, other than I do think that character needed a little more complication. I think it gave it to her. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a little like a whitewashing by basically having like a guy in there that's got feet in both worlds and then he decides to go one way as opposed to the other. I don't know. But I wasn't offended by the character or the inclusion of that subplot, the romance subplot. But I honestly, when it comes down to it, I just love action movies. And even if you drop all that stuff, watching people be interesting action stars is way too far and few between in the movies that we get. We get lots of action movies, but they're all generally the same, and a lot of them are comic book related. I like those too, but you can only see so many before you see one and you're like, oh, I forgot. This can be different. It can be presented in a different way, and I can like it. And this has its roots in history. I don't know how historically accurate it is, but roots in history. Mostly female cast, at least the warriors are mostly female. Complications that you don't typically get in action movies, and really interesting, maybe not interesting, really solid filmmaking from a storyline perspective, from like the action was quick cut, but not so quick cut that you couldn't tell what was going on. You could totally tell what was going on. It definitely gave me Gladiator vibes, and it's been a while since I've seen a Gladiator movie.
That I was thinking the same thing. This movie reminded me of Gladiator. As you're talking about action, like here is action that's actually rooted in something, in motivation.
Right.
Just like Gladiator is. And
I also think it had a good pace as far as like give you a little story, action scene, give you a little story, action scene. It didn't seem like there was like a big like 1 hour section in the middle where nothing happened. They paced it out very well as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so I disagree with some things, Kyle, you said, but not all of them for sure. I think we're on the same page on some things.
And I think in spoiler section, I can make my point a little clearer. It's harder to talk in circles around these things.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say I was more of a sucker for some of the things that Kyle wasn't as into. So, for instance, I did enjoy the love interest component of the story. I think like James said, it added a little more shade to her character. But two, like I like how they treated it. It wasn't just a straight traditional, let's add a romance into this, like it was different in some ways, as like how they treated each other, like where it led to in their relationship, like all those kind of things were like different enough where it was kind of like this like innocent romance like thrown in that I just kind of enjoyed spending time with, I guess. John Boyega, this is maybe one of my favorite performances from him. I really enjoyed him as the king. Because being a king is it's such an artifice anyway, right? It's so there's so much artificial to it, and it's kind of all like it's all about like perception, right? And like putting on a show for people and projecting power and stuff like that. And I just felt that at every moment with his character that like it's all something he's putting on in order to like, appear. And I liked his performance a ton of it. I thought Thuso was incredible as just like this tiny mouse of a girl, which is perfect for how it starts. And she stays that way, but then she's like a ninja mouse. Like she like you believe that she's like capable and fierce like she becomes, but she's still this like just tiny little girl,
I mean, she's a woman. She's not a girl.
But she's small compared to other warriors.
Yes.
She's small and she's young, right? Like 19-ish or something
19,
like that.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Viola Davis is just so hardcore and it's awesome. And you absolutely believe that she can do what she's doing and take on what she's taking on. And it's just, it was great.
Yeah. I mean, watching Viola Davis in this makes you kind of sad for like what hasn't been, because obviously you give Viola Davis the opportunity and she's going to take it as an action star. You know what I mean? Like she was awesome. She's 57 years old. Why weren't they handing her roles like this in her 30s? Besides the obvious that we know, movie making over the last 40 years. But I mean, that's what's sad is like, sad and awesome is that she is great in this movie, and she should be an action star.
Yeah.
She should have been an action star for years now.
She plays the aged warrior so well in this movie, and you see her scars, and you see the trauma that she's been through and how that shapes her character.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to say is that this movie, kind of what Kyle touched on, it tells us a story that we just almost never see, which is a story of like, it's an African story, like from the perspective of the Africans.
Yep.
And where they're not just victims or something, but like like I think that the main thesis of the film was where he says, this one character whose mother was a slave and father was a slaver. And he says, I've grown up always thinking of us as slaves and never realizing that our history is as warriors and kings. And so like, I just enjoy that movies are starting to get made now where those can be the kind of messages that like get out there, and this movie, like, I think fully supports the thesis, right? Like that there is, it just gives all these like cool new stories that like we've never heard, told. That like, the individual characters in this are probably not real, but like the larger things about like this kingdom of Dahomey having these female warriors, like that stuff's all real, And it's just cool to see those stories presented.
Real.
Yeah, he's a real king.
But I'm not sure if Viola Davis is a real character or not.
I don't think she is.
Okay. This movie gave me some Tarantino vibes at time. Not so much in the filmmaking, but in the satisfying payoffs aspect of it. Like you watch Inglourious Basterds, and there's the satisfaction of like, we're going to show you some Nazis getting brutally killed. You watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you're going to watch the Manson murderers get brutally killed. And this kind of has that payoff with slavers. Like you're going to watch white slavers get brutally killed in this movie.
Yeah, I mean PG-13 style, brutally killed.
It's pretty brutal.
It's pretty brutal for PG-13.
It's brutal, but it's still PG-13.
Yeah, right. It doesn't go full Tarantino, but it's also, showing you the violence.
Yeah. So I saw this opening night. Well, Thursday night is opening night now. I saw it Friday night. And I'm curious to know what y'all's audience was like, because I was definitely the minority in my audience. And it was a really fun movie to watch with that audience, I would say, because as minority, I mean, like I was the white guy. It was probably, if I had to guess, 30% or 30% white, the rest Spanish and black people. And it was a very rowdy, older crowd. By older, I mean like 30s and 40s, not teenagers. And they were really into the movie. And I think it definitely gave like an easy half-star bump for me to be in a crowd that was like super excited about what they were watching. How was your experience, Zach, like 2 weeks after it comes out?
My crowd was mostly black people.
Oh,
and they were very much enjoying the film, which I thought was really fun. The moment, what was the moment that got the best reaction from the crowd? Because there certainly was for mine.
I mean, there's a Viola Davis moment at the end that definitely got a lot of.
It wasn't
stuff.
That for mine.
It was also like when she was running the obstacle course.
The obstacle course scene was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my theater, it was when she ran into him in the forest. After he was getting out of the water. My crowd
loved
him getting out of the water.
Oh,
Interesting.
this is the Portuguese, the Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, his pecs were unreal.
I mean, that's what mine look like. I don't know about you guys, but
All right, guys, pec check. Let's go.
Peck check. Let's
Fact
go.
check. Let's not.
Let's not. Hey, you want video subscribers? Gotta give them what they want.
All
Fact
right,
check.
hit YouTube for the peck check.
So I saw this movie in the suburbs of Wisconsin on a Wednesday evening.
Crumbling?
Sure.
Crumbling, decaying. suburbs?
The crumbling hellhole that is the suburbs of the Midwest. So my crowd was pretty small and pretty white, but they enjoyed the movie. Yeah, I definitely was not getting the cheering that you had in your experiences, and I wish I did. And maybe that would have changed my experience if I was feeling more of that crowd energy.
Well, it's only what you bring to it, Kyle.
Well, I bring this to a movie. So.
Check peck.
Yeah, peck check. It's
Peck
just
check.
this face, these pecs. That's all I got.
That's all we can ask, Kyle. Anything else spoiler free for The Woman King? I guess not. Let's letterbox it and then we'll talk spoilers. I gave it a 4.5.
I gave it 5 stars. I just grew to love the film as it went on. It's a long film, and the longer it went on, the more I liked it.
I gave it 4 stars, and I'm going to call that's a half star diminish for white suburbs.
Okay. Fair enough. If you want to hear spoilers, there will be a brief spoiler chat after the end of the podcast, so stick around for that. That was The Woman King, a movie set in Africa. And so we're going to take this opportunity to make a little list here. It's a list of the top 10 movies set in Africa. Kyle, did you have any great criteria that you used in the making of this list?
Yeah, so all these are movies set in Africa.
All right. Zach?
And I really tried to make sure that they are predominantly, if not all, set in Africa. So I found some movies that had parts that took place in Africa, and I left those out.
Sure.
So for me, all mine are obviously set in Africa. For the most part, there are maybe some exceptions, unfortunately, but for the most part, I tried to make them movies about Africans set in Africa. There's a lot of very white movies that are in Africa, but it's not African at all, you know? And then also, there's a lot of fake Africa movies. So I don't have the Congo or Black Panther on my list, you know, because it's not real, you know.
I see what you're saying.
So there's maybe some exceptions to this, but yeah, my list isn't going to be fake Africa, and it's I don't have Black Hawk Down on my list because that's just white people killing Africans. Yeah, it just felt weird to put it on my list.
Zach's spoiling my whole list.
I know. I feel this. Zach, please keep talking and tell me all the movies you don't have.
You know, Coming to America.
What number they are on mine.
Coming to America is not going to be on my list because it's a fake kingdom.
Well, that one's not on my list either because there's not much Africa in it. The only criteria I had was that it was set in Africa, meaning the vast majority of the story is in Africa. That's the only criteria I put towards mine, though.
Yeah. Cool.
But
who wants to start?
I expect a report on which my movies are fake Africa and which are real
you know,
Africa.
like Black Panther, there's no Wakanda, you know.
But it's still Wakanda's in Africa.
Yeah, still it's set in Africa, and
it might be a fake place, but it's definitely set in Africa.
How about we save this for when we get to it on our lists, assuming you have it also, and then we can explain why this fit our criteria.
Okay.
Because obviously we know why it did not fit Zach's.
All right, it's not time to argue.
Let's rank some movies.
God. Kyle, you want to go first?
Only if you delete. Of all the sounds you use, that's the one I hate the most.
Why do you hate that one? That one's great.
because I just sound like such a tool.
Can I hear it again just to
And
know
I think
for sure?
let's rank some movies.
I love that. That's
I
great.
believe I was trying to sound like a tool when I said that. Like it's supposed to be a bad segue, but it
I
just
don't know. I think that's
it
how
just
you
comes-
normally talk.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah.
Be the man I want to be, not the man that I am. Whatever. I don't know how we say that goes. All right, let's
I'll go
rank
first.
some movies.
Go ahead, Kyle.
You know? All right. My number 10 is not on Zach's list because it is about white people in Africa, and this is Black Hawk Down.
My number 10
Sure.
is Black Hawk Down.
All right.
Okay.
So Black Hawk Down is a Ridley Scott movie. This is about the U.S. forces raid on Mogadishu in Somalia in early 90s, where there is at least one helicopter is shot down and it becomes a rescue mission. This is a movie that I watched a ton in college. Had it on DVD, would watch it a lot. The action scenes are very militaristic, also very good. There is an issue, Zach, would you point out, where the Africans displayed in this or portrayed in this movie are not portrayed in the greatest or most well-rounded light. They're kind of cannon fodder for the American forces. So I do see the problem in that. It's a movie that I've been trying to get on 4K because it's supposed to be a great 4K transfer. And I found one on eBay a couple of months ago and started watching it. And then it started skipping just before, like literally when the helicopter crashed. That's when I started getting like issues watching it. And it became the whole thing trying to return it to this guy. That's a story for another day. So I've not seen this movie in its entirety since college, but it is my number 10.
I don't have much to add other than it's a great kind of nostalgia watch for 2001 because the cast is like Josh Hartnett, Ewan McGregor, Eric Bana, Tom Sizemore, William Fichtner, Orlando Bloom, Ty Burrell, Jeremy Piven. It's just a bunch of dudes that were around in 2001. All
Tom
in
Hardy.
kind of this war movie. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tom Hardy's still around at least. But most of this cast, maybe Ewan McGregor, you would say, is still around.
I would say he's still around. Yeah.
I mean,
Is
he's
Tom
doing
Sizemore
Star Wars
dead?
TV shows at this point. I don't believe so.
I thought maybe he died.
He's alive,
Okay.
but not around much. Anyway, Zach, what's your number 10?
So my number 10 kind of breaks my rule right away. Like I said, there's exceptions. I mean, it's not hard and fast.
I hope your number 10 is Black Hawk Down.
No, but it is the Ghost in the Darkness. So the Ghost in the Darkness is Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas, and they are like building a railroad, I believe, in like Kenya, I think. And then there's like this lion, like this man-hunting lion that starts attacking workers on the railroad. And so they're kind of like hunting the lion and the lion's hunting them. And it just has a really cool like vibe to it. Like it's a little bit oddly just paced film, but it has just a great sense of place and time, and I enjoyed it a lot. So the Ghost of the Darkness.
Nice. My number 9 is The Lion King. This is the animated 1994 version, not the fake real life, but actually animated 2000 and whatever 19 version. And yeah, it's The Lion King. I'm not really sure what else to say about this. I believe it takes place in Kenya. Anyone know?
No clue.
Okay. And it is it's not Macbeth. What's the other one?
Hamlet.
Hamlet. It is Hamlet with talking animals and lions. And I've just always wanted to know, was Scar born with the scar, hence he got that name, or was he called Scar before he got the scar?
I think
I
there's
think
a
it's a
Scar
nickname.
prequel. Isn't
is
there
that a
like a Scar
nickname?
prequel?
I don't think there's a Scar prequel.
I thought like in one of the Lion King 2.5 or something, they go over like Scar's origin story or something.
Oh, they might.
Okay. So I just want to know, was he always called Scar? Was it a nickname? Which came first? The
There's a
Scar or
prequel
the-
coming out.
Oh. Is it an animated prequel or a quote unquote live action prequel?
I mean, The quote unquote live action is very
Unnecessary.
very admittedly computer animated. Like no one's pretending like they filmed lions.
No, but it's called a live action remake.
Yeah.
It's within their live action remake canon, even though it is not live. But
live
minus that
action.
one shot at the beginning. It's not live action.
It's got the shot. I don't know what to tell you. It's got the shot.
Yeah, one.
I guess one's all you need.
Would you call I don't know, would you call what's the Book Smart? Would you call that a stop motion movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Top 10 stop motion movies. Book Smart, number 10.
Yeah, you could include that in a list like that.
This would be one of those cases where you'd be like, here's all the reasons I'm not including these movies, and then number 10 would be Book Smart for stop motion. All right, James, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is the aforementioned The Ghost in the Darkness, which is great. I love that movie. So it's a weird one. It feels like the only people that like that movie are the people that saw it when it came out, roughly.
Sure.
Do I need to see this movie since both of you seen it now?
I mean, it's Val Kilmer, and it's it's good.
Okay.
It's not a great movie, but it's kind of trashy, I would say, because it's all about like lions and trapping lions. It's definitely a man versus nature movie, but it's better than Beast, that's for sure.
Oh,
so Beast will not be on your top 10 then?
Beast will not be on my top.
Oh, I was hoping Beast was good.
Beast is fine. Certainly a watchable new action movie if you need one of those, but nothing amazing.
Okay. My number 9 is The Good Lie. That is the Reese Witherspoon film. It's about 4 Sudanese children that become refugees due to war, and they head to a refugee camp in Kenya, which is where Reese finds them, and then she takes them, I think, to Missouri, and then you watch the culture shock of them in America versus their life in Africa. And I thought this movie was great. I really enjoyed it, and I liked Reese in this role. She kind of played a little bit different than type. She was a little feistier than normal. Normally she plays like the goody two shoes kind of character. In this one, she was a more realized person, I thought. And I enjoyed all of the refugee actors. They were awesome. So I like The Good Lie.
That one's not on my list because I forgot about it, but it probably should be. That's a good one for sure.
I do like Reese, so I might need to check that one out.
Yep. Don't watch it for her. Watch it because the other actors are awesome in it.
They're so funny.
The first half of the movie is just their time in Rwanda. Is that where it was?
I think it's Kenya.
Kenya? Yeah, where they're like trying to escape and their kids. It's great. I mean, she's good in it too, but I'm saying it's like far more than just a good Reese performance.
All right, good. Well, for my number 8, I'm continuing the tradition of white people in Africa. So that's really what these movies are about. And it is The African Queen. This is a 1951 movie directed by John Huston, starring Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. Humphrey Bogart plays a steamboat captain. I believe this takes place around World War I. And Katharine Hepburn is a missionary who is hell-bent on going upriver, and she convinces Bogart to take her on his steamboat upriver and in Africa. And it's been a very long time since I've seen this movie, but I do remember that Bogart and Hepburn just have this wonderful rapport throughout as they are out of their elements on this riverboat chugging along, sort of bickering back and forth, but also having a connection. Chemistry, that's the word.
I didn't like this movie that much.
What didn't you like about it?
I just didn't enjoy their chemistry. I didn't find it funny. I found it too episodic. I just didn't enjoy it, really, to be honest.
So it's been at least 20 years, maybe 25 since I've seen this. So I may watch it again and have completely different opinion on it based on what I know about movies now and those actors. But least at the time, as a I don't know, 15-year-old kid or whatever. I dug it.
I couldn't imagine watching a movie from the 1950s when I was 15. There's not a chance you would have gotten me to do that.
Oh,
Don't you like Wizard of Oz? That's from the 30s.
but that movie transcends the time. You can't
Okay.
tell me the African Queen does.
No, I didn't like that movie.
no, there's this moment where they're being attacked by mosquitoes or something, and it's literally black dots on the film, and they're like swatting at the air. Like that looked really bad, and I remember very well.
Sure.
Probably terrified.
All right. I think it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Yep. My number 8, The Gods Must Be Crazy from 1980. Great comedy about 2 white people in Africa, and also a tribe that gets a Coke bottle dropped from a plane, and then they become fascinated by the Coke bottle. It's a comedy. It's a weird one. It's hard to describe, but in my household, it's a classic. I saw this movie a bunch when I was a kid, and I've seen it a couple times since then. And while not as hilarious as I remember, I think it still generally holds up. My number 8.
Nice. My number 8 is a United Kingdom from 2016. And have you guys seen this?
I don't think so.
It's the story of the king, the true story of the king of Botswana. He goes to England and he marries a British white woman and then comes back to Botswana with her. And it's basically the drama that ensues about like everyone being upset that this is their new queen, basically. And then there's like people trying to like oust him politically because of what happened. So it's just a kind of exploring like it's a romance, right, between them, but like how race relations and stuff plays into it and stuff like that. And so like political turmoil, diplomatic turmoil. I found it really, really good. And it's David Oyelowo and Rosamund Pike.
Yeah, and it's got an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
It was good.
I'll put it on my watch list.
Very easy watch.
Cool.
My number 7 is from 2006. This is Blood Diamond, directed by Edward Zwick, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Djimon Hounsou, and Jennifer Connelly. Leonardo DiCaprio, I believe, plays a smuggler, and he teams up with Djimon Hounsou, who's a fisherman, to both find this rare diamond and as well as rescue Djimon Hounsou's son from child soldier conscription. This is a pretty intense movie that covers a lot of modern conflicts that are happening in Africa. I think this one takes place in Sierra Leone, which dealing with the diamond trade, with civil war, child soldiers, colonialism, covers a lot of ground. But it's a movie that I did not see for many years for whatever reason, and caught up with it a couple years ago and was pretty impressed by it.
Nice. My number 7 is from 2009. It's District 9. Movie about a white guy in South Africa who fights prawns, aka aliens. I don't know if he fights them, but yeah, it's an alien movie presented as a like documentary style / found footage. Well, it starts that way, and then like halfway through the movie, it kind of blends away from that, even though there's no like storytelling reason why they're doing that. It's just all of a sudden is no longer a documentary. Now it's just kind of a found footage without a cameraman type movie. But I enjoy this movie, and it's set in South Africa. Therefore, it made my list.
Nice. My number 7 is Queen of Katwe from 2016. And this is about a Ugandan girl who learns to play chess. And she's like incredibly gifted at chess. And it's basically her way out of extreme poverty. And so she gets a mentor in chess. And so you see her in like, in her village in Uganda, and she's just living in very poor conditions. And then you see how like the game like opens up new avenues for her or whatever. It's like a Disney movie. It's very much like a Disney sports film, but like with chess as the sport. and it's just super easy to watch. I think fun to watch. The main actress named Medina, she's very charming, and if you like just sports movies like that kind of like trope, I think it's really a good watch. So The Queen of Katwe, my number 7.
I wanted to see that. So is it kid friendly?
For sure, it's kid friendly. David Oyelowo is in it as well,
Awesome. All right.
and Lupita Nyong'o.
Say the name again.
Lupita Nyong'o.
All right. Excellent. My number 6 is another 2006 movie. This is The Last King of Scotland, starring Forrest Whitaker and James McAvoy. James McAvoy plays this Scottish doctor who's kind of wayward, and he ends up in Uganda as Idi Amin is taking power. And he befriends Idi Amin and becomes his personal doctor. And it's a story about, you can hang out with who you think is the right person until they turn out to be very much the wrong person. So you're sort of seeing the rise of Idi Amin through James McAvoy's character. Great Forrest Whitaker performance in this movie. And it gets pretty dark towards the end.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but it made an impression on me.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. My number 6 is from 2004. It's Hotel Rwanda, which stars Don Cheadle. And it's a great movie. Also has Joaquin Phoenix in it. I don't remember Joaquin being in it.
No, me neither.
Evidently he is. Yeah, it's just a great drama. I think it's been kind of loosely compared to Schindler's List in a weird way, because it's about like people that have some position of power using that power to surreptitiously help other people. And yeah, I just think whereas Schindler's List is maybe not it's kind of inspirational, but kind of such a sad story that it's hard to be inspired by it. You know what I mean? Like the bigger goings on of the Holocaust are just so big compared to what Oskar Schindler was doing, that for some reason when you watch Hotel Rwanda, it's easier to be inspired by the story, whereas Schindler's List, you can learn a lesson from the story, but I'm not sure you're inspired by what Oskar Schindler did. Maybe because he's not in as extreme danger as like Don Cheadle's character in Hotel Rwanda. I don't know. But I love Hotel Rwanda. I've only seen it once. It's definitely on my list to rewatch. It got nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including actor, actress, and screenplay. Didn't win any of those, but at least got nominated. And it was recently listed as one of the 100 most inspirational movies of all time by the American Film Institute.
Wow.
So if you want to see a good story that is inspirational, check out Hotel Rwanda.
Not
Still pretty
Schindler's
heavy movie.
Not Schindler's List.
Not even cracking the top 100 inspirational movies.
Nope. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe it is.
All right. My number 6 is the aforementioned The Gods Must Be Crazy. This was also a popular movie in my household, as well as The Gods Must Be Crazy too.
Mm-hmm. Made my short list, but I put Black Hawk Down over Gods Must Be Crazy.
Sure.
All right. That was a nice detour about African movies, about African people. So we're going to go back to my original list. And this is a movie that takes place in Africa, which I don't think has a single African character in it. And it's Casablanca from 1942.
No, there's the piano player.
Is he is black. Is he African?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So this is another Humphrey Bogart movie. This one with Ingrid Bergman, as well as Claude Rains. And this is the story of Humphrey Bogart, who is running a bar in Casablanca, Morocco at the start of World War II. And Ingrid Bergman shows up, and they have a past relationship. And there's a lot of drama about will they, won't they, what is their romantic future, as well as some of the political happenings going on in Morocco during the start of World War II. It's a classic. I don't know what more can be said about Casablanca.
You said everything. Everything that could be said about it.
One of the most misquoted films of all time.
Play it again, Sam, right?
Yeah.
Is that the line? Or is that the misquoted line?
I'm not
The
sure.
misquoted line.
I don't even know anymore. Yeah, it's not Play It Again, Sam.
What is it?
It's
Sam, comma, play it again?
I don't even know what the actual line is.
All right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My number 5 is from 1999. It's an animated movie titled Tarzan. This is Walt Disney's Tarzan. I think this is kind of a forgotten Walt Disney movie on some level. Not completely forgotten, but to most people, not top tier. But Tarzan from 1999 is definitely top tier Disney animated for me. I love this movie. This came out the year after my son was born. And I remember watching it in the theater, not with him because he was too young, but getting it on DVD and then just mainlining it like weekend after weekend with him. He loved this movie. I love this movie. I love the Phil Collins soundtrack, the visuals. It's another movie about a white guy in Africa, unfortunately, just the animated version of that. But yeah, I this is the only version of Tarzan I think I like. I mean, I like the live action one that came out a couple of years ago, but nowhere near the nostalgia I hold for 1999's Tarzan. It's a good one. If you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while, check it out.
Sure. Good music.
Yeah, they're really good. Phil Collins soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. My number 5 is The Constant Gardener, which is a 2005 drama thriller. And it's kind of like it's a romance, but also like a political thriller about like a evil pharmaceutical company taking advantage of Africa, basically. And it takes place in Kenya and Sudan and just kind of hops all over. I admittedly have not seen this in 17 years. And I only saw it the once, but I do remember thinking it was really interesting, and it's something that I definitely would like to revisit again and familiarize myself more with it.
I need to rewatch this one as well, and I was just reminded that this is the same director as City of God, which is like a top 100 movie for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He also directed Blindness, which is another movie I really like. And Zach, he directed The Two Popes.
Did he really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Same
Both
So
of
director.
this guy's doing well.
Yeah. He directed both popes in one
Okay.
movie, if you believe it or not. Kyle?
All right, before I get to my number 4, to clear it up, the misquote is Play It Again, Sam. The
That's
actual
what I said. Didn't I
Yes.
say play it again, Sam?
Yeah, they're correct.
Oh,
The
that's
actual-
the misquote.
That's the misquote.
Gotcha.
The actual line is "Play it once, Sam, for old time's sake." So, "Play it again, Sam" is just sort of like the abbreviation of the meaning of the actual line.
It's so weird that somebody just decided randomly to shorten that someday, and then everybody went along with it.
Yeah. Probably because it was like in cartoons and parodies, and it seeped into the culture.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, my number 4 takes place in Africa. It's not a real place in Africa. This takes place in Africa, and this is Black Panther, which takes place in Wakanda. And I think this is important to include because it gives you this look at the Afrofuture aesthetic, which is something that I don't think we've ever seen in a movie. Of kind of this idea of you take the traditional African styles and you mash it up with sort of this futuristic Marvel technology, and then you get this unique looking city and aesthetic. Black Panther itself is a great movie. Definitely has one of the best villains of the Marvel universe, and I'm looking forward to Wakanda Forever. I'm a little less excited for whoever plays Shuri, just because of some
The
things she's
COVID
been up
stuff?
to.
'Cause of
Yes,
the COVID
all
stuff?
the COVID stuff. But the trailer seems to also give a lot of who plays the mother? Angela Bassett. She seems to have a very large role in the movie too. So I'm excited for a lot of Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever.
Fair enough. My number 4, the aforementioned Lion King from 1994, not the fake
Man,
live
you guys have
action
such a
version.
chip on your shoulders. Oh my goodness.
No chip.
It was
Just being clear that I don't like that version. I only like the
Yeah,
original.
We get it. We get it.
You
Yeah.
know what I want to see from animals? No emotion. I just want blank faces for 2 hours. Are you surprised? Here's my face. Are you shocked? Are you sad? That's it. Just there's nothing going on with those animals whatsoever.
Who hurt you, Kyle? Who hurt you?
What I don't understand is if you're gonna make a live action version of it, but you're gonna animate it, then why not like utilize the animation
Right.
to do things that like you couldn't get animals to do otherwise? Whereas like just film it Homeward Bound style and make it real live action. Use real animals.
Just slap some peanut butter on those lions' mouths. And
It felt real to me. It felt real to me. I loved that movie. That movie was awesome.
Never.
Galen was bored by it. He likes Lion King, and we watched Lion King 2019, and he was bored.
Okay, well,
Yeah, because it's the worst version of all of it.
Right,
basically.
exactly.
it's, you guys, just
He also loves it didn't make my list, but Tarzan getting a lot of rotation in our household right now.
Nice.
A lot of Tarzan going on, and
As it should.
Well, so I kind of skipped Tarzan because I was 16 when it came out, so I was
Sure.
kind of beyond Disney.
I get it.
And then I'm enjoying it now. I'm liking it.
Zach.
you had more to say about the remake than the original. But no,
I
check.
mean, what's there to say about it? Everybody loves the original Lion King because it's good.
Yeah. Okay. My number 4 is a Senegalese film called Tuki Buki. That stands for The Journey of the Hyena. And this movie is awesome. I definitely recommend this film. Like I said, it's a Senegalese film, so it's made in Senegal on a budget of $30,000. And it's really great. It's a love story. There's this guy that rides a motorcycle with like these horns on the front of it, so it's like super iconic looking. And he's got a girlfriend, and they dream of like getting out of Senegal and going to Paris. And so they kind of like go on this mini crime spree to like make money to buy their tickets. And so kind of like Easy Rider a little bit. And then eventually they get the money to go, they buy the tickets, and then one of them has a change of heart. And so it's the drama that's related to that. But it's a super great peek into like Senegal and what it's like to live there. And I just thoroughly enjoyed this film. So it's called Tuki Buki, or The Journey of the Hyena. And came out in 1973.
Oh, nice. All right. My number 3 is, I think, considered a list movie. This is The Battle of Algiers from 1966. I believe this is technically an Italian film where they speak mostly Italian and possibly Algerian in this movie. But it is about the Algerian Revolution to fight the French occupation in the 1950s. And this is an awesome movie. It follows one young revolutionary from like his starting off just like wanting to join the movement to then becoming very active, while also bringing in some of the French generals who are trying to tamp down the revolution. It is presented in a bit of a cinema verite style, so it's not quite a documentary, but you really kind of feel like you're not watching like a scripted drama. You're kind of watching just people taking action in that moment. And it's, James, this is a list movie I think you could get behind. I think minus the language, it's not in English, but just the story and the action. It's all in black and white. It does not feel like a stage play whatsoever. I think you like it.
I don't like reading during movies. I just like zoning out, making my eyes glass over, and just let it wash over me without really thinking too hard. So
You can probably turn on English dubbing if you really need to.
all right. That's my preferred way to watch movies. so
Okay.
that works. What was the name of this again?
The Battle of Algiers.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Oh, really? Well, thanks
Hold
for listening while I was talking the whole time.
I was listening. I
Okay.
just I wasn't connecting it until you just said that name. And I have seen it. I gave it a 3.5.
All right. Okay.
This
Well, I'm
all
glad
makes
you-
sense now.
I'm glad you've seen it.
Yeah, I don't know how I've seen this since it's subtitled.
You were
Uh,
tricked as a younger man.
Evidently. My number 3 is the aforementioned Black Panther from 2018. And I don't have much to say beyond what Kyle said. I think he summed it up, and his feelings generally reflect mine. Have you guys seen that police cam footage of Ryan Coogler getting arrested?
I have. When he was trying to either withdraw a large amount of money from a bank or cash a large check?
I think he was trying to deposit a check, and then somebody at the bank had an issue, and then they called the cops on him, and then the cops show up, and they're like trying to figure out what was going on. Didn't they handcuff him
They
at one point?
handcuff him, they seat him in the car, and
Right.
then when they realize he's Ryan Coogler, they're like, "Oh, our bad."
I was impressed though that he never says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
He never once says, "Do you know who I am?" When he could have very easily. I mean, this is like in the Atlanta area where Marvel Studios is well known to be a major entity, production entity. It's like that and Walking Dead. They are right out of the Atlanta area. And never once did he like pull rank on them and basically say, "You guys, this is going to go everywhere. So you need to chill out, let me go."
Do you
Could have
think
easily said that.
Do you think the reason possible reason he doesn't do that because he doesn't want to escalate, and possibly by pulling the whole "Do you know who I am" could just escalate the whole situation?
I think probably the wrong way to say it is, "Do you know who I am?"
Okay.
But he could have said it without saying.
Yeah.
In that confrontational way, and that probably would have sped things up. I don't know why he didn't. Do you have a theory, Zach? Have you watched this?
I have watched it. I just think he's not the type of person that like pulls rank, you know?
Mhm.
I think he could have easily said, you know, look, I directed Black Panther, so clearly I have the money to deposit a check like this, and that would have like very quickly made everything stop. But I think at that point he was like, I know this is going to be recorded and get out there, and so like I'm going to not do something that other people can't do.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's my thought.
Yeah, I also am a little wary of like trying to put my brain space in another person's body and try to rationalize how they would think it through, because I am not Ryan Coogler. I don't look like Ryan Coogler. I don't have the experience of people that look like Ryan Coogler. So I don't know whether I would be thinking super clearly as far as what would get me out of this or what wouldn't either. So I don't know. But kind of mind-blowing, has nothing to do with Black Panther, but I stumbled across it the other day and was like, this happened a year ago and I didn't hear about it. It was crazy.
Nice. Okay, my number 3 is a 2014 film called Timbuktu. And this takes place in Mali, and it is about a poor like herding family, and they have one cow, and they're just trying to live their simple, you know, herding lifestyle, and like a more radical kind of jihadist group starts like taking over the nearby village, and they're just trying to like live in peace from this group, and then something happens, which is such a big shocking change in their lives, and then everything just goes south, and it's so sad to see it all unfold, but it's very powerful. This movie is very, very good, and it's just, yeah, you're with this family from Mali as they are dealing with forces beyond their control, basically. And so, yeah, it's called Timbuktu. It's really good, and I think it was nominated for best foreign language film by the Academy Awards. So, my number 3.
Nice.
Nice. My number 2 is the previously mentioned Hotel Rwanda. This is a pretty intense movie about genocide in Rwanda. I believe it was the Hutus that were killing the Tutsis during this time. And Don Cheadle's character, Paul Rusabanya, who was trying to protect as many people as he could within his hotel. And yeah, it's right. It's definitely one of these stories where, on the greater scheme of things, I don't know. It's what? How can you, when you have so little power, what can you do to try and make it better? Even if you can't save everyone, can you save someone? So very powerful story. It also has a really great Nick Nolte performance. I don't think you mentioned that, James. Nick Nolte plays I believe a UN observer who's kind of like, he can't really do anything. Like, he's at the hotel. He obviously sympathizes with Don Cheadle's character and everything going on, but because of his role within the UN and the kind of their just observing status, he's helpless. And I thought that was an interesting addition to the story, also kind of showing how the rest of the world was sort of watching this happen, but saying, "Oh, we can't get involved. This is a civil dispute. This is a civil war. We don't want to pick sides," as they watch a genocide happening.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a tough one, but it's good.
A tough one. Yeah. Another tough one. My number 2 from 2015, Beasts of No Nation. I think this is Netflix's first original film, like the first one that they bought and released, and directed by Cary Fukunaga. Probably the only actor you'll recognize in the movie is Idris Elba, but everybody in this movie is really good. It's really well made and long. It's an odyssey. It's a travel movie where characters are going from one place to another, trying to get from one place to another and stay safe while they do it. There's a couple very tense scenes where young people, like tweens and teens, are tasked to do something that only adults should ever be asked to do, and like from a war perspective. And the question is, are they going to do it? Are they going to run away? If they run away, then they're defecting. What happens to them then? These types of complications are what's coming up over the course of the movie. So if you have like a really strong aversion to like kids in danger, this is probably not the movie for you to watch, because it's a lot of kids in danger and like are they going to make it through this type of thing? But if you can handle movies like City of God or some of those types of things, this is no worse than that. So it's a harrowing experience, I would say, but a very well-made movie with solid performances throughout. My number 2, Beasts of No Nation.
Nice. My number 2 is the only animated film on my list. It is The Prince of Egypt.
I totally missed this one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Yeah. Prince of Egypt. This movie, first of all, the music is just a huge standout on this. The music is really good. And it's just a very epic, artistically interesting animated film. It tells the story of Moses and Pharaoh and the Exodus and all that kind of stuff. And it's really good. And it's got tons of people, including actors that have already been mentioned in previous films. So
if I could remake this list, Black Hawk Down get pushed off, and I would put Prince of Egypt somewhere in the middle. Somewhere like, 4, 5, 6, right around there.
Nice.
Yeah. Watched that with Galen and got to explain plagues to him.
Oh, nice.
Being smitten or smoten, smiting. That was a fun conversation.
I'm currently reading Exodus to my daughter, and she was very into the plagues too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you think he understood the concept?
Yeah, I mean, we this is our first chance discussing slavery and kind of like
Uh-huh.
what's going on here. And you know, at one point there's this kind of like ghostly creature going to all these houses, and he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, well, one of the plagues was the firstborn. So
Hmm.
yeah, but it was a good time to like discuss what's the Bible and history and all this. I think it's a, you know,
Sure.
right, Zach, you're reading it to your daughter.
Does she understand what a plague is, or not really?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she use it in everyday language now?
Yeah. No, but she. I mean, if you could ask her about it. She could talk about it.
Does she ask to put lamb's blood over her door to protect her at night?
She doesn't, but I will say she's very interested in like the bad characters in any story.
Oh yeah,
So we just watched Aladdin for the first time, and she loves Jafar.
Jafar.
And when we read, like, when I'm reading Exodus, she just is obsessed with Pharaoh.
Mhm.
And you know, earlier we were reading Genesis, and that tells the story of Joseph and a different Pharaoh, like an earlier Pharaoh who's like a good Pharaoh, I guess. And she doesn't like that Pharaoh as much because he's not the bad Pharaoh
No, she like the bad guys are more interesting sometimes.
for sure.
All right, my number one has been previously mentioned, District 9 from 2009.
Nice.
Yeah, this movie takes place in South Africa, and is actually a somewhat of an allegory, not even somewhat, is an allegory for apartheid, where you have, in this case, aliens are being kept in shanty towns that are being kept as second-class citizens by their Dutch colonial white rulers. It focuses specifically on one character whose name is, I think, Vicus, and his interaction with the aliens. I believe they call the prawns, is what we said.
Mhm.
And it goes places. I didn't know a lot about this movie when I saw it with Megan in the theater, and she was pretty unhappy with me by the end of this movie.
Just because of the sci-fi horror nature, body horror nature, or
Yeah,
because
I
of
think
the...
some of that body horror stuff going on in the third act, which
Sure.
is, yeah, which got me a little squeamish, and she was like, I hate this movie. When is it over?
Mhm.
So she's not a fan of body horror.
Sure. That makes sense. I mean, really, there is a political element to this movie, though. Like it is a white guy fighting aliens for the most part, but I think they're saying something about how white people in South Africa treat other people in
Oh
South
yeah, yeah.
Africa.
It's a lot of it's apartheid. It's going on in the background.
For sure.
Also has great, I think, one of the best battle mechs in movie history.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I think this movie's got a lot of it. It's got both commentary as
Mhm.
well as cool sci-fi elements, and it does a great job of mashing the two together.
Connects it with a documentary style and body horror.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on in that movie, now that I think about it. My number one, my favorite movie set in Africa is one that has not been mentioned, surprisingly, because whenever I think of movies set in Africa, this one is the first one to come to mind. I can't imagine anybody would think anything otherwise. It's, of course, 1995's Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. The definitive Africa set movie, I would say. Love this movie. I think Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls is by far better than the original Ace Ventura, because
It's funnier.
it really just drops all trappings of civility and storytelling for the most part. It's just like, okay, we're going to drop Ace Ventura in a place. We're not going to give you any context really for who he is. We're going to assume you know all that from the first movie. And we're just going to put him in goofy situations in Africa. We're going to have him trying to find people who are stealing bat guano
Yep.
for some reason. And we're going to send up white people in Africa, pretty much. They definitely make white rich people in Africa, the butt of most of the jokes, as well as Ace just kind of misreading other people's intentions. And I enjoy it. I love this movie. I don't know why we haven't gotten more Ace Ventura from, you know, reboot heavy Jim Carrey. Like these days, like he did another Dumb and Dumber. Why haven't we gotten a third Ace Ventura yet?
Wasn't there like a son of Ace Ventura or like him as a kid or something?
There
that
was
actually came out, or
there was a Son of Mask.
yeah, there was
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective Jr. from 2009.
No, thank you.
2000, but he's not in it, right?
No.
No, I'm talking about a direct sequel from him because there was a Dumb and Dumber movie without him in it too. But then he came around and made Dumb and Dumber 2. So I don't know. I want another one before Jim Carrey officially resigns his position, which it seems like he's been trying to do for years at this point. But yeah, my number one.
That scene where he's crawling out of the back of the rhino, the animatronic rhino
Is
being
insane.
birthed. I remember laughing so hard in the theater. And
Like
that scene goes on for
2
so
minutes
long.
of sustained laughter.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And it's just like it's perfect Jim Carrey. It's gross. And it does not end.
I mean, the scene where he's first meeting the African tribe and somebody throws a spear at him and it lands in his leg.
Yeah.
And then somebody throws a spear at him from the other side and it lands in the other leg. And he's just like freaking out, pointing at the spears like back and forth. I mean, it's so dumb, but it's perfect.
Does he eat something spicy or is there a fire ant sequence?
I believe there's a fire ant sequence.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I apparently need to rewatch When Nature Calls because I'm just getting all kind of warm fuzzies right now.
Well, yeah, and there's like that South African white guy who looks like the Monopoly Man. He calls him the Monopoly Man, and he goes into the guy's what do you call it? Den. I don't know what you would call it in a mansion. It's not a den, but a library, and there were like all these the heads of dead animals that he hunted. It's so good.
I had no idea both of you loved this movie so much.
I didn't know I loved this movie until I had this conversation right now. And apparently I may have a new top 100 contender right here. I need to watch it now.
Wow,
it's a good
I need
one.
to watch it again.
This movie had very little impact on me.
Zach, what's your number one? And I really hope it's Ace Ventura When Nature Calls. Or Black Hawk Down.
Or the
Okay.
fake Africa movie Black Panther.
Yeah.
It is a movie that's already been mentioned. Anyone have a guess?
Is it District 9?
No.
Did you hate that
Is it
movie?
Hotel Rwanda?
No. I didn't like Hotel Rwanda that much.
What?
Oh, is it Battle of Algiers?
It is. It's
Okay.
Battle of Algiers. Battle of Algiers, Kyle pretty much said everything. It's really great. It's awesome. It's a must-see, I would say. And it's my number one.
It's worth
Sorry, I
seeing.
took your thunder on that one, Zach.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
Hotel
so-
Rwanda, I had to pay Netflix for because I like had the DVD and I lost it.
Oh,
And
so
then I
you're
had to-
holding it
oh.
against the movie? Is that what you're saying?
No, and then I think what I felt about Hotel Rwanda, I'd have to rewatch it, is a little bit of what I felt about the Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie. Is it so much of it was like before the thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wanted to see a movie about the thing that happened, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so much
I
of
don't,
it is the
I don't know about the
buildup.
Robin Hood comparison, but I understand movies that do that.
Yeah, with the Russell Crowe Robin Hood, the whole movie is like before he becomes Robin Hood, and then at the end of the movie he becomes Robin Hood. You know?
Okay.
That was like an origin.
Yeah, and so it's same kind of thing with this one, and it was very much like an outsider looking in kind of a thing. The main thing that I took away from that film was his confrontation with the peacekeepers from the UN, being like where they won't do anything to stop it because that's not their mandate or whatever. I found that interesting, but otherwise, yeah, I wanted a movie that like was more about the Rwandan genocide, and this one was more about the build up and then the UN response. I don't know.
I guess I think this movie was trying to tell you the story of the Rwandan genocide, but through one smaller story, one thread of it.
Yeah, it was
And give you maybe a little bit of hope out of it.
totally. Which I don't know if the story of the Rwandan genocide is a story of hope. Like I guess Yeah, I guess
But-
I would just, I don't know.
But to go back to Schindler's List, like Schindler's List is it's a movie of hope amongst a awful thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm. But it's not a prequel about that.
Right.
Where Schindler's List is more in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
where Hotel Rwanda gives you some background.
On
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
he acts the way he does in the moment.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
So, but no hate. I mean, people can like that. That's fine.
All right.
Maybe on second watch, I'd like it better.
Maybe.
I mean, if you find the DVD,
It's still floating around somewhere.
it's yours. You own it.
That was our top 10 movies set in Africa. I enjoyed those lists. Thanks, guys, for running down them with me. And thank you for listening to this episode 549 of the Cinereelists podcast. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, find the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Subscribe there. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Leave us an Apple Podcast review or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. You could also follow us on social media at Cinereelists on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
Yep. Or you can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we will be watching the new release theater-only movie. Actually, I think it's theater and VOD. The movie is titled Confess, Fletch. The new Fletch movie. Which, that episode will just be Zach and I. Kyle will not be here. I think he's going to Martha's Vineyard or something for the weekend. Something like that. I don't remember exactly.
I'm not going to the vineyard, unfortunately.
Where are you going?
Maine, you
Maine.
know.
Okay. For some lobster? Lobster Fest?
It's for a wedding, but I'm hoping to have some lobster while I'm there.
Nice. Is this a royal wedding or just a normal one?
I mean, I would say within my family, we're
Your royalty?
East Coast royalty.
Okay. All right. I can't wait for a full report, Kyle.
I will bring it back.
All right. We'll have to name the episode Confess, Kyle. And confess your sins that happened at the wedding. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where you're going either. I'm just
Thanks for
waiting to wrap it
listening,
up.
guys. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Keep on listening.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
This is spoilers for The Woman King. If you have not seen The Woman King and you'd like to stay spoiler free, you should hit pause now and come back and listen to this later. If you have seen the movie and you want to hear spoilers, or you just don't care about hearing spoilers, but you still want to hear them, then listen on, because we're going to spoil The Woman King. All right. So the big plot stuff that maybe Kyle didn't prefer that Zach and I liked was, let's start with Nawi, right? Wasn't that her name? Nawi is the young warrior who turns out is the daughter of the Viola Davis character. And she's the daughter of a sexual assault. She's the result of a sexual assault, maybe. I don't know how you would say that sensitively. But and Viola Davis. Okay, so rewind. It's rewind time. Viola Davis was assaulted, had a baby, but in order to be a warrior, you can't have a baby. And so she gave the baby away, and she was hoping that she'd never know where the baby landed, but has a sneaking suspicion that this girl that's now in her life as a warrior trainee is actually her daughter. And so the movie plays out that it is her daughter, and she has like kind of a hard time. Both of them have a hard time dealing with the idea that, like, one, she was abandoned by her mother, and two, that this girl is kind of a representation of that trauma. That a good, decent summary of the complication that I was describing earlier.
Yeah, I think the only thing you left out is that her assaulter is also the leader of the band they're fighting against.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Viola Davis has an added incentive to destroy these people, basically.
And you left out the absolutely insane scene where she cuts a hole in the newborn baby and sticks a tooth in it.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot
that
about
was
that part.
wild. I've never seen anything like that in a movie.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yes.
In order to mark her so that she'd know later on.
Yeah.
If it was her
You
daughter or not.
You could have just like put a little scar on her back. You had to insert a tooth into her skin.
That was awesome. That was intense.
That was
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me tell you what didn't work for me.
Okay.
And then I would love to hear you guys respond and tell me why I'm wrong or why it worked for you. So for me, the fact that her motivation to become the best warrior she could be, to avoid becoming a slave, I think that's a big part of their motivation. Is like, we do not want to be captured, we do not want to be slaves. It's better to take your life than to be sold into slavery. So, one of her big motivations is the fact that when she was younger and more vulnerable, she was assaulted, and it sounds like she was almost sold into slavery, or at least was held captive. I don't know if did they ever explain how she escaped exactly, or
Don't remember.
Okay, but like that's to me seemed like her biggest character motivation for why she became the great warrior that she is. And I could also was fine with her being like, I had this baby, I gave it up, and this new young woman reminds me of the baby I gave up. And it is like bringing up my traumatic past, as well as the fact that this man that I'm fighting is my assaulter from 20 years ago. That all was totally fine, totally made sense. Then there's this added little twist of, it is your daughter. That didn't really seem to do anything for me. It just seemed like one extra unnecessary step in her character development and emotional journey. Like, I think it would have worked just fine if it was not her daughter, but just someone that reminded her of her past and the trauma that she experienced.
Can I clarify, what do you think her emotional journey was?
So, I mean, for me, like, my understanding is the assault happened when she was a warrior or a warrior in training, correct?
It's
Probably
been 2
before.
weeks.
I would think before that, but yeah.
So possibly even before. But, well, because she was pregnant and then she
Oh,
gave
sure.
the baby
Yeah, maybe
to her
I
friend
think
and
warrior
said
in
that-
training or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So I saw her journey as being like one of her biggest motivations was she was assaulted, she was held captive, and that has been her motivation to become this incredible warrior, to not ever become a slave, to be captive, and to, put her freedom above anything else.
Okay. Here's what I think. I think the reason why it didn't work for you is because what you think of as her emotional journey in this film is only the first half of her journey.
Okay.
And you're missing the second half of her journey, her emotional journey. So her experience of what she went through earlier in her life is what caused her to become the person that she is, right? The
Yes.
warrior that she is, right? The cold, unfeeling destroyer of worlds, you know? The fact that now all of a sudden this daughter that she thought was dead or gone, that she would never see again, shows up. That is what cracks into that hard exterior and teaches her that it's not just about like this cold, unfeeling, let's kill. That having softness, love, dancing at the end, like those things have value too, and that she can be a full person, and she can love and be a warrior at the same time. And that's how the movie ends, right? With her like, and her message throughout the whole movie is just like, there's no time for love. Like there's no time for anything. You have to just be prepared to kill. And so like the fact that her daughter showed up again, that's what cracked her and helped her to become a full person at that point. And then it was a twofer because it also provided an emotional journey for the daughter, because all of a sudden she is like, well, there's a reason why I'm the way I am, right? I'm the daughter of two warriors, right? So that's why I'm always like obstinate against everyone or defiant. And then she has to deal with the fact that like in her blood is like a rapist, you know, who took advantage of her mom, you know?
Yeah.
And like, what does she do with that? And so it provided emotion and motivation for her as well. So it's just like, it killed two birds with one stone, and it completed that journey for Viola Davis, which otherwise she's an awesome character, but not necessarily like a fully realized, like actualized person until that happens.
Yeah.
So
I go ahead, Kyle.
No. Go ahead, please, James.
I would also add that with the younger warrior, with the daughter, they also give her an opportunity to run away, right? Like at some point with her boyfriend who's like got his feet in both worlds, he is giving her the opportunity to escape all of this, essentially. Now, she has to leave people behind that she cares about, potentially to their ruin, in order to do that. But if she wanted to save herself, she could probably leave with him. They present him as fairly wealthy for the most part. And so the opportunity there is for her to leave. And at the moment where she's about to make that decision, she's presented with the fact that like she is the result of her mother's pain, basically. Her mother who gave her up. And now she's expected to fight alongside her in some weird way. And so it I thought they raised the stakes for me. I would say more than just I want these people to win because they're the good guys. Now there's real motivation for why they should win, why they should come together, why people should make the hard decision versus the easy decision. I also think like the storyline of like the guy who's half and half.
Yeah.
His story is undercooked and is definitely not the main plot line, but I do think it was interesting to see somebody who was conflicted in some way, and not necessarily directly. It's not like he was keeping slaves. It's just a world that he lived in where you don't see the outcome. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like us or maybe us thinking about our ancestors, right? Who like, if you go back far enough, all three of us have some relation to somebody who owned a slave at some point. And so when you think about those people and you think, well, how could they ever have been okay with that? This guy is kind of a representation of that, right? Like in his normal day-to-day life, not what was going on in front of him was not as big of a deal until he got here, until he saw it in front of him and saw how this was happening and saw other people that were like him and having it happen to them. That was when he was like, oh, this thing that I didn't think was that bad, actually pretty awful. My friends are awful. Everything I know is awful. And again, not the main drive of the story for sure, but I thought it was intriguing and it kept the story moving along for me anyway.
So,
Anyway.
James, I do agree with you with that character. I think he was more interesting for that aspect of him seeing the world for what it is, seeing
Mhm.
his ancestors for these are complete people.
Mhm.
And I just found him less interesting as a romantic lead, or not lead, as a romantic subplot at all to this movie. But
Sure.
I do like his journey of being someone who's in both worlds and kind of has this an eye-opening experience.
Yep. Um. Anything
I
else spoilery?
I guess maybe for me, with back to the Viola Davis daughter moment, it felt a little telegraphed. So
Mhm.
it wasn't a twist. And
I agree.
I think in the moment I'm like, oh, this is, and spoiler for another movie. This is Incendies without the emotional gut punch that movie gives you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one has one, but it moves on pretty fast.
You're right. Like Incendies really dwells and drives it into you, and that's what that movie is. This movie is not that movie, but there's a lot of parallel between the two.
I don't disagree with that. But I do really like the scene where what are they, kneeling like at an altar or something like that, and then the mother kind of tells the daughter for the first time, that she's the result of
Mm-hmm.
a sexual assault, and she's kind of her biggest pain. I mean, that scene, I like that scene a lot.
And then Zach, you mentioned the ending where they're kind of doing this dance and this chant. That ending was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I just the chant was great. The costuming at that point, like the costuming besides John Boyega and his wives, it's pretty. It's a lot of warrior costumes.
Mhm.
But in that moment, everyone was in much brighter clothing, and they're doing this dance, they're doing this chant, and you really felt this emotional catharsis. I agree with
Yeah.
you on that one. Yeah.
Did you guys stay for the post-credit scene?
It's like
Briefly,
a mid-credit
yeah, mid-credit
scene,
scene.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
My entire theater had cleared out by that point.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The only reason I caught it because I was in IMDb, like looking up who some of the people were as their credits were playing, and then it popped up. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. One person that the whole time, the slaver, his name's like Hero or something like that.
Oh,
the whole time
yeah.
I'm like, this looks just like Hayden Christensen. That's all I can think about.
With like the 12-year-old mustache that he
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not make the connection.
Yeah. I absolutely thought that.
He's the guy who really got like that Tarantino treatment.
Yeah, not many redeeming values on that guy.
No.
Yeah.
For sure.
He became comically evil at the end,
Right, a
or
little
like
bit.
realistically evil, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's also interesting that instead of making the slavers the competent, overlords that they're fighting, it was more about the slavers utilizing much better warriors in other Africans. You know what I mean? It was like it was Africans versus Africans. It was just what's motivating each side, basically. And then the slavers themselves were pretty easy to defeat when it came down to it.
Yeah, they weren't very good. There were a lot of them, and they had rifles.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, after spoiler chat, anybody changing their star rating or anything?
I'm bringing my down to 3. Kyle convinced me the fruitlessness of my ways.
Yeah, I'm going 5.5.
Okay.
I'm going 6.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.